Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head. You made this spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host. And welcome back to the Baseball Head, and hopefully like this video. There's a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of rumors, going on, and as you can tell from the title of this video, whatever it's going to be. But you know the subject of this video if you've been looking for it. But a couple of things, some rumors. A very big rumor popped up today, which I poo-poo-ed. I poo-poo it right off the bat, and that's Jacob deGrom. People have been clamoring for it online on X, and X is even though it's gotten better, it's still crazy. It is really, there is no truth to the rumor that Jacob deGrom is going to be moved and traded back to the New York Mets. I don't see that happening. I'd be shocked. He has a full no-trade clause, and I don't think he wants to come back to New York. I don't think it has to do with the team. I think it has a lot to do with New York City. Okay. Very similar to how the players look at Toronto. It's very similar to how Jake probably thinks of New York. Now, when he came up with the Mets in New York, back in 2014, 2015, New York was very safe. You could bring your family to New York. If you don't know, over the last few weeks, there have been some very horrific crimes taking place in New York City. A woman was set on fire by some invader from, I guess, Guatemala, where the hell, some shithole country. And unfortunately, it happened again a couple of days ago. But that woman survived. The other woman did not survive. They still have not identified her. Just a random person. And I believe that Jake did not want to stay here back when, because he was concerned for his family. Worried about the safety of his family. And that should be concern of everybody who has a family. That they don't want their family to be injured or hurt. And I think that's kind of what happened with him. I think that's why he left. So I don't really believe this rumor about Jake wanting to come back to the Mets. So anyone, wanting that to happen, I don't think he wants to come back. Okay. I think it had less to do with Steve Cohen. Had less to, although I do think that he had a connection with the Wilpons. He liked the Wilpons a lot. That's why he signed the contract with them. I think he really connected with Steve Cohen and the family. But I really feel that the big reason he left was because he did want to be in New York, and nobody's really talked about it. They don't want to insult anybody. I am not insulted by this. I understand how bad New York has gotten. Hopefully things will get better. Seems like the mayor wants to do good stuff, but the governor, you don't know her. If you're not in New York, she's a real goofball. She's taking selfies on the subway while women are getting set on fire. So I'm going to sort of throw cold water on that. Now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. People have been writing to me about him, and it's going to get hotter and hotter and hotter as we get into the new year, because he's not going to stay in Toronto. He's going to be gone. Okay, either he will be traded at the deadline, he'll either be traded before spring training starts, or he'll be traded at the deadline, or he will not be with the Blue Jays next year. Okay, Toronto has a problem too. There's a tyranny up there. They have Governor Newsom. Prime Minister Newsom is a disaster. The country is a mess. Nobody wants to be there. It's a horrible situation. It is a tyranny. You do anything, they arrest you. And I'm not joking. And I don't blame any major league player not wanting to go there, as it's currently constituted. It's not a great place right now. And the fact that they can't bring in a big player says a lot. The fact that Guerrero Jr. wants to leave, and I think he wants to leave and get the hell out of there, says a lot. And his whole family is, they built their lives in Canada. His father was played with the Expos for so many years. But that's all we're going to talk about. And here's the thing about Guerrero Jr. I was going through his numbers just before I started doing this video. They're very similar, and in fact, in some regards, are lesser than what Pete Alonso's numbers are over the last 6 years. He has at least 60-something home runs less than what Pete has. He has 80 RBIs less than what Pete has. His slugging percentage is lower. They played roughly in the same amount of games, the same amount of plate appearances, same amount of at-bats. The only difference between Pete and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the batting average. Guerrero is a 288 career hitter, and Pete's a 249 hitter. Okay, but aside from that, and they're both dynamic power hitters. But Guerrero's home run power can tend to sort of go up and down. But Pete's home run totals, and I was going through them, he's hit 53 home runs, 46 home runs, 40 home runs, 34 home runs. He's hit a lot of home runs, and he's very consistent with the power. Guerrero had the one big year in 2021 with the home runs, but he's hit 32 homers, 26 homers, 30 homers in the last 3 years. And he's been on a team that really hasn't won. Okay, 2 of the last 3 years, Pete Alonso's been on a team that's won. Just looking at these numbers, I know that people are going to be clamoring for him. People are going to be, I don't, and here's the thing. They are physically, in terms of the numbers, the same height, the same weight. But for some reason, and I know that he's a better defensive player than Pete, but not by much. Just going based upon the wins above replacement. They're basically about the same in terms of as a player. I know that some people really clamoring for him because he's like I said in previous videos, he's another baseball card to get. I need this baseball card to finish my set. And he had a big 2021. But the thing is that he is a player. He's not going to. I think he'll age worse than some of the other players. I think he'll age very similarly to Prince Fielder. Prince Fielder had 10 really great years, and then he's completely fell off the cliff. Guerrero's played 6 years. Okay. Now Pete Alonso, they both played the same amount of years, same amount of games. He's played a few more games. But again, I'd rather hold on to Pete. I know that people don't want to hear that. I think he'll be back with the Mets. I think Pete will be back with the Mets. To be honest with you folks. Now I love the players. Okay? I like Met players, and Guerrero Jr. is a great player. You know, he's a lot of fun to watch, but he's very similar to Pete. The OPS plus is the same roughly. There's only a few points separating them. In my view, they don't really differentiate. The biggest difference between the two of them is the age. Okay, that's the only big difference between the two of them. To be honest with you, other than that, they're pretty much the same player. Now, going forward, you know you're going to have probably another 4 good years out of him. But he had this one big year, and then he's had sort of average years that aren't nearly as good as Pete's years. From 22 to this year, they have been good. They haven't been great. I'm going to be honest with you. They've been good. They've been not as good as Pete's. In 2022, Pete hit 46 home runs. Or 45 home runs, something like that. And 2023, Pete hit 46 home runs. Hit more than Guerrero. He hit more home runs than Guerrero this year. Hit 34 home runs. But Pete only drove in 87 runs. Pete is a big RBI guy. They're both big RBI guys. To be honest with you, Pete's more consistent with his power. You know. Now I know some people aren't gonna like this. I tell you what I think. For me, I like to see the Mets keep Pete Alonso here. I hope that they can come to some kind of an agreement. I've been saying that I think he's going to come back. I think the percentages are dropping when he comes back. I said it was 54% the last time I spoke to you. It's still there. I don't believe this thing about the Giants. If that is true, Pete is making a major mistake going to the Giants, to be honest with you, because Pete will not hit nearly as many home runs as he has with the Mets. If he goes to the Giants. And we saw it's almost like history repeat itself with Michael Conforto. Michael screwed up his free agency, just like Pete has done at this point as well. Did not take an offer that was a fair offer from the Mets. Turned it down. The second offer that supposedly they've given him over the last few months, it's not a lot of years, but it's fair. I think the money is better than he could have possibly hoped for on a 1-year deal. I think it's fair, and it's more than fair, and he should take it. And then if he has an opt-out the first year, second year, he could do that and test the market, okay? But he doesn't want to go down this Mike McFlora road, and that's where this looks like it's going. Now, I'm not going to blame the agent on this, because Pete screwed this up 6 months before he hired Scott Boras. He screwed it up last year during the All-Star break when he turned down the Mets contract extension. They were giving him 7 years, $150 million. That would have been a great contract. And he screwed up his year last year, and he screwed up his year this past season because of the pressure. And basically what Michael did. Basically the same thing. Pound for pound, he has done the same thing that Michael Conforto did back in 2021, or after 21. Don't make the same mistake that he made. And they were teammates, by the way, for many years. But again, this is not a negative thing about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's more about holding on to a great Met, and a guy that is a very good piece here. He gives him a lot of balance, and quite frankly, I'd rather have him here. And then if he's an older player, then I can still develop players for first base. Okay, but we'll see what happens. But again, there's not anything negative about Guerrero Jr. He's a great young player still. But I'd rather have Pete Alonso here because I know the consistency, the home runs, and the RBIs. He will drive 100 RBIs every year the next 3 years if he's with the Mets. Just due to the fact that Soto will be batting in front of him. And he'll hit about 30 home runs every year. Guerrero's numbers, like I said, they kind of wane up and down. And they're very similar to Pete. So if I had that possibility of a similar player, I hold on to the guy I have. You know, and there's a little loyalty. Now, I would mention, people have been writing, saying that Pete's greedy. If you were in that position to make as much money as you could, you would do the same thing. This is how it works. And it's funny, people always write the same things every offseason about a player. He's greedy. He's that. It's been going on for 100 years. Especially during the last 50 years of free agency. They all say the same things. Nothing you say is anything that's different that other players and other people say about athletes. You say the same things about athletes. You know, I would do the same. I'd try to get as much money as I could out of the Mets. And the Mets are trying to save the most money they can out of this particular situation. Somebody mentioned to me today that this is like David Wright, give him whatever he wants. That was a bad contract as it turned out for David Wright, because then he hurt his back. They signed him in 2013. They had 2 good, healthy years out of David, and then he was done. Couldn't play every day. Couldn't play at all. So that was not a good contract. It was a bad contract. So that's why I thought, just looking at it, the 3-year deal for Pete is fair. And it's in line with the other contracts. He gets more money than any other first baseman per season. And it works, in my mind. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. This is not a negative thing. Again, it's not a pro Vladimir Guerrero video or a con Vladimir Guerrero. It's not a negative thing. I'm not talking about him in a negative way. Just telling you, just letting you know about the numbers. The numbers are very similar to each other. Go on Baseball Reference and you'll see it. They're the same. And in some regards, like I said, the home run total is a major drop-off from Pete to this. And home runs are very important in terms of winning championships. You've got to have home run hitters to win championships. It's very, very important, especially when you get in the postseason, believe it or not. Well, let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.